Have you ever sat down with a textbook, determined to learn something new, only to find yourself reading the same paragraph over and over again without absorbing a single word? What if I told you that feeling of frustration isn't your fault? It's actually your brain trying to tell you something profound about how we're meant to learn. Think about this for a moment. Your brain, that remarkable 3-pound universe sitting between your ears, wasn't designed in a laboratory for standardized tests and memorization drills. It evolved over millions of years as an exploration machine, a pattern recognition masterpiece, a curiosity engine. Yet somehow we've convinced ourselves that learning should feel like punishment, tedious, mechanical, and utterly joyless. Has this ever happened to you? You struggle for hours to memorize facts for an exam, but can effortlessly recall every detail from a movie you watched once 5 years ago. That's not coincidence. It's evidence that your brain has been misunderstood, perhaps even betrayed by conventional education methods. What Richard Feynman, one of the greatest scientific minds in history, understood was revolutionary. Your brain craves discovery, not repetition. It lights up when solving mysteries, but shuts down during mindless recitation. When you feel that familiar cloud of boredom settling over you while studying, it's not because you lack intelligence or because the subject is inherently dull. That feeling is your brain's sophisticated alarm system telling you something crucial. This approach isn't working. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the globe. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might fundamentally change your relationship with learning forever. The difference between struggling students and brilliant minds often isn't raw intelligence. It's understanding how the brain naturally learns. Think about the last time you learned something effortlessly. Perhaps it was mastering a video game, understanding the plot threads in your favorite TV series, or picking up the lyrics to a song after hearing it just a few times. You didn't study these things, you experienced them. Your brain was celebrating because it was active, curious, and making connections that mattered to you. This natural learning process feels fundamentally different from the passive repetition we often mistake for studying. Your mind doesn't want to be a filing cabinet stuffed with disconnected facts. It wants to be a living garden where ideas grow, connect, and transform into understanding. What if that feeling of boredom isn't telling you that you're bad at learning, but instead signaling that you're using your magnificent brain? Or wrong, what if that disconnect you feel when staring at textbook pages isn't a personal failing, but your mind screaming for a better approach? The secret that transformed Feynman from an ordinary student into a Nobel Prize winner wasn't superhuman intelligence. It was understanding that when learning feels like a chore, the problem isn't you, it's your approach. If these ideas about learning resonated with you, hit that subscribe button to join our community of curious minds. I share insights like these regularly that challenge how we think about learning and personal growth. Think about what happens when scientists like Feynman approach a complex problem. They don't sit down with flashcards and force themselves to memorize equations through sheer willpower. Instead, they play with ideas. They ask questions. They let their minds wander down unexpected pathways. The transformation happens not through rigid discipline, but through unbridled curiosity. This reveals a hidden truth about our minds that most educational systems completely miss. The secret to effective learning isn't more discipline, it's more wonder. Every time you approach a subject with genuine questions, why does this happen? Or, what if we tried this instead? Your brain lights up with activity. It's not just absorbing information, it's creating a journey of discovery. When was the last time you approached learning with the mindset of an explorer rather than a dutiful student? The difference is profound. An explorer doesn't trudge forward out of obligation. They move with excitement, alert to possibilities, driven by the thrill of what might be discovered around the next corner. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by sharing something that completely revolutionized my own relationship with learning. Imagine your knowledge as a vast, living map, where each idea you've ever understood is like a city with its own unique landscape. When new information arrives at the borders of your mind, your brain isn't just filing it away, it's actively trying to build roads connecting this new territory to places you already know. This explains one of the most frustrating experiences in learning, why some complex concepts feel intuitive while seemingly simple ones remain completely baffling. It's not about difficulty, it's about connectivity. When your brain can't find a path to link new information to your existing knowledge map, that information remains isolated, floating in space, without meaning or context. The revelation here is powerful. When something feels useless or boring, the problem isn't the subject itself. It's that you haven't yet discovered why it matters to your world. And this is where the magic happens. Relevance isn't something you passively find. It's something you actively create through mental connections. When you study biology, don't just memorize cell structures. Wonder how those same structures are working inside your body right now. When learning history, don't just memorize dates. Ask yourself how those past decisions shape the world you live in today. These connections transform dry facts into living knowledge that sticks with you forever. This connecting process isn't just a learning technique, it's a fundamental shift in mindset. It's the difference between forcing knowledge into your brain and inviting it to become part of who you are. And once you understand this principle, your entire relationship with learning begins to transform. Write in the comments, "My brain craves connections, not isolation," if this perspective resonates with your own learning experiences. Now, what happens when we take this understanding even further and apply it to how we experience learning at its most powerful? Have you ever been so deeply absorbed in something that hours seemed to pass like minutes? Maybe you were coding a project that fascinated you, solving a puzzle that kept revealing new layers, or diving into a subject that genuinely captivated your imagination. That mysterious state where time warps and everything else fades away isn't just a pleasant experience, it's a profound revelation about how our brains are designed to learn. Psychologists call this the flow state, and it represents the pinnacle of our learning capacity. This isn't just about feeling good, it's about your brain operating at its optimal level. In this state, your neural pathways fire with extraordinary efficiency, connections form more readily, and your mind absorbs and integrates information at rates that would seem impossible during forced study sessions. The pathway to this state reveals another counterintuitive truth about learning. It happens most powerfully, not when you're straining, but when you're balanced in that perfect sweet spot between challenge and capability. Too easy, and your mind wanders from boredom. Too difficult, and it retreats from frustration. But when an activity pushes you just beyond your comfort zone, while remaining achievable, that's where the magic happens. Think back to childhood, when learning wasn't a chore, but an adventure. Children don't study how to build with blocks or ride bikes. They play, they experiment, they fail without judgment, and through this natural process, mastery emerges. Somewhere along our journey, many of us lost this intuitive understanding, replacing it with the mistaken belief that real learning must feel like work. The most profound insight in this entire exploration might be this: learning isn't primarily about what you know, it's about who you become. The greatest mistake in conventional education is treating knowledge as mere accumulation, as if our minds were warehouses to be filled rather than gardens to be cultivated. True learning transforms your perception, reshaping how you see both the world and yourself. Have you noticed how people who maintain a genuine love of learning seem more vibrant, more present, more fully alive? It's not because they know more facts. It's because they've maintained that essential connection to wonder that keeps their minds expansive and their perspectives fresh. They don't just process information. They dance with ideas, allowing themselves to be changed by what they discover. At its core, learning is an act of love for understanding the world more deeply, for expanding your own capacities, for discovering what lies beyond the familiar. This perspective transforms learning from obligation into liberation, from burden into privilege. When you approach knowledge not as something to acquire, but as something to engage with, the entire experience shifts dramatically. Drop a comment saying, "Learning is transformation, not accumulation," if you've experienced this shift in perspective. Let's explore how this understanding changes not just how we learn, but also how we measure our progress. And ultimately, that's what this journey of rediscovering how to learn is all about. Not just acquiring information, but allowing that information to transform who we are and how we see the world. When we approach knowledge with curiosity instead of obligation, everything changes. I hope this perspective has offered you a new lens through which to view your own relationship with learning. If these ideas resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Just write, "My mind was made for discovery," so I know you've journeyed with me to the end of this exploration. If you found value in this approach to learning, consider subscribing to join our community of curious minds. Each week, we dive into these kinds of perspectives that challenge conventional wisdom and offer new ways of understanding ourselves and the world around us. And if this conversation sparked something in you today, that gentle tap on the like button helps these ideas reach others who might benefit from them too. I've created another video that explores how to apply these learning principles specifically to difficult subjects that might have intimidated you in the past. It's right here. Click and let's continue this conversation together. After all, the most powerful learning happens not in isolation, but through connection, just like your brain was designed for.